Hi everyone, my name is Justin. I'm alderman in East Rock and Cedar Hill. I've received a lot of inquiries about the tax reassessments, and so I decided to do a quick video to explain it to you because it's such a complicated issue. So here we go. So how do assessments work? In the spring of next year, the mayor and the board of aldermen decide the city's budget, basically how much the city is going to spend in the next fiscal year. The city then needs to divvy up who pays what for the budget. The city determines this by adding up the values of all the properties across the city, the grand list, and figuring out what the ratio is of the value of all properties to the city's budget. That ratio is called the mill rate. In other words, the city determines what proportion your property is compared to all the taxes in the city, and then divides up the budget by that proportion and charges you. So the city bases your taxes on how much your property is worth. But how does the city know how much my property is worth, you ask? Well, every 5 years the city is required by the state to do a reassessment of all real estate. There was a reassessment in 2001, one in 2006, and we're close to completing a reassessment for this year. The reassessment is conducted by a private company, in this case Vision Appraisal, and estimates the value of your house based on the number of units, its condition, and recent sales price of similar homes in your neighborhood. It basically estimates how much your house would cost if you tried to sell it. Here's where it gets tricky. The city's assessment in 2006 was during the housing bubble, so housing values were incredibly high. Homeowners' property taxes throughout the city were set to skyrocket because the new 2006 assessment was much higher than the 2001 assessment. In order to ease the blow, the mayor and the board of aldermen decided to make the transition more gradual by instituting a phase-in over 5 years, where you would slowly transition from the 2001 value to the 2006 value by increments of 20%. In the past few years, however, since we've been facing tough economic times, the city has decided to freeze the phase-in to make life even easier for you by keeping your property values closer to the 2001 lower values. So last year's taxes were based on the 2001 value, plus 2 years of the phase-in, or 40% of the increase in the tax assessment for 2001 to 2006. Which brings us to the 2011 assessment. Vision Appraisal has completed their estimates of the values of property across the city by visiting homes and looking at sales prices. Across the city, there is an average increase in property values from last year of about 9.2%. It's not surprising that in many neighborhoods in the city, property values have gone down significantly. Some neighborhoods have had moderate increases in their property values, like Westville and the East Shore. Unfortunately, East Rock has seen a significant increase in its property values, an average of 36 to 56%. This doesn't mean that your taxes go up or down by the percentage change. Remember that to determine your taxes, the city adds up all the values across the city and then figures out what relative portion of the budget you owe. If everyone's property values went up, then everyone would pay the same because the proportions would stay the same. However, if some people's property values go up and others go down, the proportions change and so do your taxes. Since overall the city had an average increase in property values of about 9.2%, if your property value has increased more than that, your portion of the grand list has increased and therefore you will likely be paying more taxes. Likewise, if your property value did not increase by more than 9.2%, you will likely be paying less taxes. We're almost there. So how do you figure out your numbers? 1. Look at your tax bill to figure out your assessment from last year. Remember, it's not your 2006 assessment, rather it's the 2001 with 2 years of the phase-in. 2. Look at your new assessment on the letter you receive in the mail, or look on the Vision Appraisal website. If the increase between these two numbers is more than 9.2%, it's likely you'll be paying more taxes. If you're on Vision Appraisal, don't get confused by this number. It's your 2006 assessment, but remember, because of the phase-in freeze, your taxes aren't based on that amount. Like I said, East Rock is going to be hit hard by the assessment, which is concerning. We want to encourage people to stay in our city, to own homes, and to have affordable housing. I plan on working with the mayor and my colleagues on the board to address the situation. In the meantime, if you believe your assessment is not accurate, you can do the following. You can request an informal hearing with Vision Appraisal between December 12 and 21 by calling this number. If you still disagree with the valuation, you can appeal to the Board of Assessment Appeals between February 1 and February 20. And if you still disagree, you can appeal to the Connecticut Superior Court. Information on the appeals process will be in the packet that's mailed to you. I hope this video was helpful. Please keep in mind that the budget is obviously more complicated than how I've shown it here. I've tried to make it understandable for you. As always, if you have questions, please feel free to contact me over email or by phone, and I'll see you around the neighborhood. Thanks.